Good morning, everyone. So today I'm going to be showing us how to repackage the Linewize Authenticator agent so that you can push it out to a wide variety of devices, including Surface Laptop SE devices after Managed Installer has been updated on the target devices. So I do want to start this video with a quick understanding that the MSI installers for this are provided by the support personnel at Linewise/FamilyZone. So it's important to understand that in order to get the download for this file, you'll need to contact your support personnel for Linewise to gain access to it. Based on what I've seen with other customers, they do typically send it over via email, and then you'll download and repackage that client. The example I have today is from a customer that's allowing us to see how to go through this repackaging process so it's easier for all of us. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to do, as usual, is we're going to open up Windows PowerShell as an administrator, and we're going to have to navigate using CD change directory to where our repackager is hosted currently. So in this example, I have mine hosted locally on the C drive, but yours could be locally hosted on another folder location. It could be on a mapped SharePoint site. It could even be on a file server. So let's get in here. All right, and then I'm going to launch the Intune Win utility. And now I'm going to navigate to the directory where I have this installed. So scripts, binary, FamilyZone, Linewise, Linewize Authenticator, and today's date. And as you can see right here is the MSI installer. So I'm going to grab this location. I'm going to paste it into my PowerShell prompt, and now it's wanting me to specify the setup file. So I'm going to go back to that folder location, show more options, properties. I'm going to grab this name into my clipboard, and then I'm going to go back to our PowerShell prompt, and then we're going to put a .msi on the end because this is a Microsoft installer file and not an executable. Now we need to specify our output folder. Back up to binary, scripts for me, go into the Intune Win directory, FamilyZone, Linewise, Linewize Authenticator, and today's date. And I do like to put in the date for a lot of this because a lot of times software developers don't always put in version codes. And so I always like to put the date because at least I understand, okay, well, I repackaged it, February 2nd, 2023. That is still at least somewhat updated. So now that we've repackaged this application, it's time for us to move to the next steps of actually uploading it to Intune. So I'm going to go ahead and close my PowerShell prompt now. And now we're going to go and log into the Intune console. So I've already got this pulled up. So we're going to go here to Add. And same as before, I'm going to duplicate this tab because I've preloaded it into the system. And so we're going to go down to Windows App Win32, select down here at the bottom. We're going to point this to that local application. Okay. And now that we've got it imported, we're going to want to change the information because FamilyZone has bought a few companies over the years, and they've kind of merged the technology together. And so when you import it, you'll notice that the vendor data doesn't say Linewise, it says School Manager. It is still that same application, they just haven't had a chance to update the vendor data in the MSI installer yet. So to compensate for that, what I went ahead and did was I collated together all the information, so that way it should be easier. So this is on the website, so please make sure to copy and paste everything that's included. But I did my best to try and make this easy, so I'm going to copy and paste all this information in here. Publisher, I've been putting FamilyZone just because it seems like that's their main website, and that seems to be the company that owns the rest of them. And I've been putting this as computer management because we're obviously using this as a proxy filter. The information URL, I've been going ahead and creating I set it up as their support documentation. Because like I had said, you can't download it on your own. You have to ask for support. So I went ahead and just included their support article. For the developer, I have been putting in Linewize. Owner will be your organization's name. And in this case, my simulation is Pineview Public Schools. And then I also included the logo file on the website. So please make sure to click and import that to take a look. I won't be including that in this little video tutorial just because I didn't have it downloaded locally, but understand it will be available on the website. So here's our initial properties for everything. As you can see, the values that it auto imports into the system are QN. That is actually not accurate for this installer. What you're going to do is you're going to come in and you're going to replace that with just the word quiet, all lowercase at the end, and this is the appropriate install and uninstall commands. Now, like I had said earlier, you're going to get a wide variety of these MSI files, and this code will slightly change. So when you repackage it, just make sure the code that's imported in here that you're changing these little things on the end so it does quiet instead of the /QN. And as long as you do that, the installer will successfully install and uninstall. And I have tested this on both Surface SE devices as well as normal Pro devices. So sorry, one second. Apparently my AI decided to wake me up and let me know what's going on today. There we go. So we've got that fixed. So now that we've got the install codes and the uninstall codes imported in here, there's one other value I wanted to bring up really quick just in case. So since this file is modifying the network protocols on the local device and it's setting up the authentication agent, I just want to make sure that we understand that in some cases it might be beneficial to force a mandatory device restart. Now, the problem is that doing this during the autopilot setup is typically not a good idea. So I just want to bring this up that if you're ever in a situation where you need to get a new version of this pushed out as soon as possible, I would probably recommend to use the force a mandatory restart. If you're just wanting one that you're repackaging and making sure is deployed during the autopilot process, I would put the app install may force a device restart parameter. You'll keep the same default install and success codes. So requirements for this one, same as most of the others, 64-bit, Windows 2004. I noticed this takes about 125 megabytes of space, and we don't really have any other rules or requirements here. And now for the detection rules. So since we repackaged MSI, we can use the original MSI code. So it's really nice to be able to just add this and just kind of go about our business. Now, since we aren't specifying the exact versions, it might be beneficial in the future for us to target things with a version string of some sort. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and use the MSI install code for detection. There are no dependencies for this installer, and supersedence is what we're going to use when we go to replace this in the future with a new copy. So now that we've got this set up, we're going to go into our assignments. Now I've already got a simulation set up for this, so I can show you, but let's go ahead and deploy this to application deployment testing. And then since this is a software that oftentimes we don't want people to see notifications that it's installed, we're going to change these end user notifications to hide all those notifications, and then time zone to the device time zone. That way, when we go to push this out, it's going to initiate that at the time zone of the device rather than UTC, because keep in mind, the computers all on the back end run off UTC time, so if you push it out with whatever's default in the system, things might push out whenever the system determines UTC time is, and so I always recommend changing it to the time zone of the device. So now that we've got this all set up, and we've got this set to deploy, we're just going to go ahead next, and create this. Now, since I've already imported this into my console, I'm not going to finish the creation process, but the one thing I want to make sure that we understand, it's important that as this upload is proceeding, that we don't navigate from this page. Because the larger the install files are and the longer it takes to upload, the higher chances that you're going to move away from that page and the auto tab sleep feature on most browsers will cancel the upload and you have to start all over again. So to fix that issue, what you can do is just detach that browser tab onto a separate window or screen and let it run there and then continue working in another window. And that'll solve for that issue. So I just wanted to make sure that we went through a repackaging step today for the Linewize Authentication Agent, and I hope this helps our educational institutions. Have a great day.